because of COVID. It's really remarkable what they accomplished.
The teams will approach you a little bit differently. You know, you're kind of the team everyone's watching now, so there's different degrees of expectation. There's more external noise.
Welcome back.
It's Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80, ESPN News. Bart Scott and Jason Fitz sitting in for the guys. And the Bucks report to camp on Sunday. So, Bart, you know, obviously it's an exciting time for Bucks fans. Buccaneers fans can remember the glory of the Super Bowl just a few months ago. And for the NFL, you got to look at it and have the conversation we have every single year about every champion. How do they repeat? Like, how where are you on the Bucks?
How do they run it back, right? I mean, listen, when they said that they were going to run it back and they were going to bring everybody back, we laughed, right? We chuckled. We thought they were just talking because they were under influence and they were excited. They were at the parade. But dang it, did they bring everybody back? I mean, I didn't think they would get it done. And, you know, I think Tom Brady plays a big role in this because of his sacrifice to take less money to be able to pay everybody. Everybody got their money. Everybody got their money, so everybody's happy. But I wonder if everybody's motivated, right? What happens is you go from being the hunted or the hunter to being the hunted. And every week you're going to get every team's best play, right? And it's always been said in sports, you know what I'm saying? You know, full bellies don't, you know, how hungry can you be if you're already full, right? So it's going to be tough. And I think the field is a lot more difficult. I think the Rams, you know, I think Arizona, and if you be like, Arizona, I'm talking about those upsets, right? Remember, I was a part of a team when Tom Brady was a favorite that got upset. Remember, it was a time where he got upset by the Ravens, right? Because anything can happen in a football game. So the odds are that they're not going to make it back, right? For everything to go right for you, it doesn't happen. You know, they were fortunate last year. You know, let's see if they have some misfortune. Let's see how they handle it. Let's see how Bruce Arians is able to keep this team motivated every single week, not to think that they can just turn on a light switch. You know, we saw, you know, maybe Kansas City struggle with this early in the season last year, maybe coming over that hangover, everybody celebrating a little bit too much and understanding that it's different because it changes your offseason rhythm because you play longer than you've ever played before because you were the last team standing.
So this raises the question of who can knock them off the perch. Like, how do they get dethroned? And Mike Tannenbaum, ESPN NFL front office insider, was on Get Up yesterday, and this is the team he identified as the biggest threat.
Dak Prescott, they're going to win the division. They are the biggest threat in the NFC to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're going to be a top 5 offense. They're going to get back 3 offensive linemen. I think Dan Quinn's going to make a massive impact on the defensive side of the ball. So I think this is going to be a very successful year for them. I think Dak Prescott is going to be a top 5 quarterback. He has won playoff games, Dan, just as a reminder, something that Matt Stafford hasn't done. And I expect this team to compete against Tampa Bay in the NFC Championship game.
I mean, Bart, you're going full like Thanksgiving when like your aunt's just like really no longer, you're not happy.
I feel like Peyton Manning, like, man, yeah, my idiot kicker and went out there, got slithered up. You know what I mean? Like, come on, to my Mike T, I love you, but man, you got to stop with this love affection and this hatred of Matthew Stafford. You just said that you believe that the Dallas Cowboys are going to have a top 5 offense. Maybe, right? And Dan Quinn is going to have this defense fired up. Maybe. But if you're going to make that argument for them, do you not believe that the Rams is going to have a top 5 offense? Do anybody out there listen to me in TV world, do they believe that they're not going to have a top 5 offense? Okay. What do they bring already that we already know? The number 1 defense in the league. So if you're talking about you have a top 5 offense, and you have the number 1 defense in the league, and you have tremendous players at every position, impact players, how the hell can you say that it's going to be the Dallas Cowboys, the team that's only disappointed us every single season, and it's not going to be the Rams who've already been to a Super Bowl in recent years?
Yeah, well, I agree with you that the Rams deserve more love in this conversation, but I think you're both wrong when it comes to the biggest threat.
You better say the Raiders.
No, well,
I will Deion Sanders to set. I will Deion Sanders primetime. I
will walk off and just walk. You know what, Coach? I'll tell you this. No, but by the way, if the Raiders were the big, like, I can't even imagine that moment. Raiders go to the Super Bowl. I'll be insufferable on this network if I'm not already. But it's close. You're close. The biggest threat to the Bucs is the team that everybody thought was going to thump the Bucs in the Super Bowl last year, the Chiefs. Like, yes, the Chiefs got their butt kicked in the Super Bowl. That's fine.
Yeah.
And they also were decimated with a couple of and again, that's not taking anything away from the Bucs and their victory. The Chiefs looked at their weakness in the Super Bowl last year, which was their offensive line issues. They addressed their offensive line issues. And by the way, they're bringing everybody back too. And they still have the best player in the NFL today. Not of all time, that's Tom Brady. Yeah. But today, that's Patrick Mahomes. I can't look at a path to the Super Bowl that doesn't include the Chiefs. And they are the biggest threat because let's rewind and remember that the morning of the Super Bowl, everybody thought the Chiefs were going to win.
Yeah, but what has to happen, right? What has to happen? Tampa has to get to the Super Bowl. I'm telling you that they won't even get to the Super Bowl. So the biggest threat is the Rams because they're going to dethrone them before they even get to the championship. Now, whether they win the Super Bowl or not, or if they lose to Kansas City or whoever in the AFC, I'm trying to tell you that the Rams are going to deny Tampa even an opportunity to run it back.
Look, I like that call, and we talked a little bit about it yesterday. I mean, I think the love of Sean McVay combined with the love of Matt Stafford combined with the love of just a star-studded defense that gets after it. Like, there's a million reasons. It's a tough division, though. The Rams are looking at, like, you've been really high on Arizona, and I think rightfully so. The 49ers will make the argument all day, every day that their season was derailed for the second time in the last 4 years by loss of starters.
Well,
to
they'll
injury.
blame it on the Jets' turf.
Right, 1,000%. So injury, they'll blame derailed their season. But, you've got to look at it in the past and say they've been right in the past. Also, Seattle is consistently a good football team. So I don't think it's a cakewalk for the Rams to get there, but I also do agree with you. I think the Rams are a really good team. To me, for the next 10 years, if you want to really, next 5 years, I'll say it this way. The next 5 years, you want to pencil in who's the biggest threat to whoever the Super Bowl champion is, it's always going to be the Chiefs. So I'm always going to look over in the AFC and say there still, to me, isn't anybody clearly that can dethrone the Chiefs in the AFC. So they're headed back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't know for 5 years, right? Because we know what happens within 5 years. Everybody wants to get paid, right? And you talk about, they went out and got Orlando Brown, right? And why did Orlando Brown leave the Ravens? Because he wants to get paid as a left tackle. What are the Kansas City Chiefs going to have to do next year? They're going to have to make him the highest paid player, more than Trent Williams, and that's going to put a damper in your ability to have the tremendous depth that the Kansas City Chiefs have had. They got maybe a 2 or 3 year more.